Cyberpunk Edgerunners is an anime you've probably heard about recently. It's gotten insanely positive reviews and already has a plethora of video essays about it. The show was made in collaboration with CD Projekt Red, the makers of Cyberpunk 2077 and the oh god, and Studio Trigger, who've helped make stuff like Kill la Kill, Promare, and Little Witch Academia. The show consists of 10 episodes and stars David Martinez, a street kid who lives in the dystopian world of cyberpunk. If you aren't familiar with what cyberpunk is, I won't and can't explain the whole thing, but as a lot of dystopia are, it's a warning of a future we could be headed towards. A dark future filled with capitalistic greed and a whole lot of chrome. It's a world where everyone is obsessed with enhancing and modifying their bodies with cyberware. A world where the big mega corporations have more power than national governments. A world where anyone and anything can be bought. And there's also a lot of cool jackets and wacky hair. David, much like most residents of Night City, is a victim of a system tailor-made to strip you of your hopes and ambitions. And this show is art, and I don't know why people are surprised. I guess people's reception of how the game was at launch set lower expectations for this anime, but good god is this show phenomenal. Much like the game, this show's narrative is an excellent entry point into this world that Mike Pondsmith has made. It's one of those stories where every aspect is so nearly perfect you can't think of anything to criticize. The animation, the attention to detail, the world building, the characters, the voice acting, all of it just melds together perfectly and encapsulates exactly what a cyberpunk story should be. Hell, it's what a story should be. It just is cyberpunk. It's cyberpunk when you see the neon and acid rain-soaked streets of these liminal chrome corridors that are this city during the night, and it's also cyberpunk when two characters are having a date on the moon. But at the heart of it all, possibly the most cyberpunk thing of the whole show is David. From the second he came on screen, I knew pretty soon I was gonna be writing this video. David is the perfect protagonist. And I don't mean he's the shining example of who a person should be or how they should act. I mean he's flawed, as all good characters are.
Oh Lord, he's me for real.
And the perfect foil for him is his love, Lucy, a girl who wants nothing more than to hop in a rocket to the moon and leave the clutches of Night City. The arc these two go through in the show is exactly what I needed from a show like this, and that's important because it's not the arc I wanted. That's what good stories do though, they teach you and influence you to consider things you haven't before or don't normally consider, and that's what cyberpunk is about. In the cyberpunk lore, there's something called cyberpsychosis. A personality disorder where a person has modified their body to such an extent that, as a result, they lose their sense of identity as a person, either to themselves or others. The more chrome you put into your body, the more you lose yourself. You literally lose your humanity. This is what David deals with in the show. We see him lose so much. He loses his mother, he gets suspended from school, any chance he had at a career is gone. His friends die off in increasingly gruesome ways, and by the end, he's on the verge of losing who he is. But he doesn't. In order to ensure Lucy is able to escape this world, this toxic, unfair, neon-soaked trap, he loses his life. The last thing he had left to lose, right? Until the last moments of the show. We see Lucy on the moon, finally having escaped Night City, and initially, she seems dissatisfied. Until we realize that David still has his humanity. It lives on in her. After facing this system tailor-made to strip away who you are, David got to deny it. He gets to stare it dead in the eye and deny it. He gets to sacrifice himself and Lucy gets to escape. What's more human than that? So why am I making this video? Cyberpunk is awesome, but anyone can tell you that. It's at the top of the charts for Netflix, the game is gaining players every day, so why did I make this? Well, I had to because I couldn't stop crying. I went into the show ecstatic. I looked at the reviews anticipating it to be renewed for a second season. I wanted 7 seasons of David and Lucy against the world, and the show broke me a little bit. It floored me. I had no idea what to do with myself. I was grieving and it hurt, but I had to let it pass. And after a while, what I mistakenly thought was still grief was love. As if there's a difference. Part of me thought I needed a distraction to keep my thoughts off of it, but nothing could distract me. And it wasn't until I wrote this to you right now that I realized David is gonna live on with me. What I thought was a fleeting story was one that will live on with me forever. And I don't care if this sounds like an exaggeration or cheesy, I mean what I say. And if you're like me and watch the show and are finding it hard to figure out a way to move on, don't. Take David with you. And make someone smile today.
I ain't no average single. I'm dead, just like this girl. My bank account is 0, 0, 0. Oh no, I think I need a hero. I don't have no ego, cause I'm spinning out. I was a teenage outlaw with no worries on my mind. And now I'm getting older, my heart is growing colder.